If you can't see that justice has not been blind in the United States for a very, very long time, just allow the Supreme Court of the U.S. to prove it to you. Because everyone is talking about the presidential immunity case, immunity this, immunity that, because of course Donald Trump is involved in that case. But everyone seems to be ignoring the case that the court heard the very, very next day, last Friday, which honestly is surprising to me because in a way that involves Donald Trump also. And here's the thing. It's not just hyperbole. The Department of Justice has proven over the last couple of years that there is one standard for MAGA cult members and another standard for literally everyone else. And of all the people in all the places to expose the biased and corrupt federal prosecutors, it's Neil Gorsuch and the Supreme Court. And truly, it's absolutely masterful. If you guys listen to the immunity arguments, you heard many mentions of the 1512C case. Well, 1512C is a U.S. code that essentially says it's illegal to use actual force or threat of force to attempt to influence or delay testimony or an official proceeding. And quite a few of the J6ers have been charged or actually already convicted under the same statute. And Donald Trump himself has been charged with that statute. They call it the Enron Code because it was crafted in response to Enron destroying thousands and thousands of records and documents. So essentially, it is a corporate fraud charge that has been used to threaten protesters that the U.S. government doesn't like with 20 years in prison. And now the Supreme Court gets to ask the government why.
I'm saying, okay, C1 does some things, and the whole rest of the universe of obstructing, impeding, or influencing is conducted by C2. Is that a fair summary of your view?
Yes, but there was a good reason for Congress to do it this way.
No,
it traces to the statutory history.
I understand
and
that.
I would just say that...
if I might. So what does that mean for the breadth of this statute? Would a sit-in that disrupts a trial or access to a federal courthouse qualify? Would a heckler in today's audience qualify, or at the State of the Union address? Would pulling a fire alarm before a vote qualify for 20 years in federal prison?
There are multiple elements of the statute that I think might not be satisfied by those hypotheticals, and it relates to the point I was going to make to the Chief Justice about the breadth of this statute. The kind of built-in limitations are the things that I think would potentially suggest that many of those things wouldn't be something the government could charge or prove as 1512C2 beyond a reasonable doubt, would include the fact that the actus reus does require obstruction, which we understand to be a meaningful interference. So that means that if you have some minor disruption or delay or some minimal outburst, we don't think it falls within the actus reus to begin with.
My outbursts require the court to reconvene after the proceeding has been brought back into line, or the pulling of the fire alarm, the vote has to be rescheduled, or the protest outside of a courthouse makes it inaccessible for a period of time. Are those all federal felonies subject to 20 years in prison?
So with some of them, it would be necessary to show nexus. So with respect to the protest outside the courthouse, we'd have to show that, yes, they were aiming at the proceeding.
Yeah, they were trying to stop the proceeding.
Yes, and then we'd also have to be able to prove that they acted corruptly, and this sets a stringent mens rea. It's not even just the mere intent to obstruct. We have to show that also, but we have to show that they had corrupt intent in acting in that way.
We went around that tree yesterday.
I know. I heard the argument yesterday, but I guess what I would say is that to the extent that your hypotheticals are pressing on the idea of a peaceful protest, even one that's quite disruptive, it's not clear to me that the government would be able to show that each of those protesters had corrupt intent.
So mostly peaceful protest that actually obstructs and impedes an official proceeding for an indefinite period would not be covered?
Not necessarily. We would just have to have the evidence of intent, and that's a high bar.
They intend to do it, all right.
Yes, if they intend to obstruct and we're able to show that they knew that was wrongful conduct with consciousness of wrongdoing, then...
Just listen to these people, man. We have to prove that they acted corruptly. The fact that they committed an actual crime and actually interfered with an official proceeding is not enough. They have to have acted corruptly in doing it. And basically what that means is we're the government. Above all things, we will read your mind and establish what's in your heart and how corrupt you are before moving forward. And of course, if you're a Democrat voter shutting down entire universities because you want to stop a genocide that isn't happening in a country that doesn't exist, well, then your act is without corruption. That's a good act. But if you're a Republican voter who finds it very, very hard to believe that Joe Biden got 81 million votes and you don't feel like you're being heard or getting a straight answer, well, then you're a corrupt cult member, and 20 years is a gift. You know, the kids shutting down the colleges think that they should just line you up against the wall and just end it right there. And Jamal Bowman, you heard him mention there, Jamal Bowman and the fire alarm really was a great example. He was obstructing an official proceeding, and he planned to do it. He acted corruptly. Everybody with two brain cells to rub together can understand that. Everybody knows it. But he works there, and he's got a D before his name, so the government, they can't prove he's got corrupt intent. But some grandma on January 6th, just the fact that she was there, she must have had corrupt intent. You know, we've already established that the federal government thinks that they can read your mind. Actually, that's not true. They want you to believe that they can read your mind. But the truth, I believe, is much simpler than that. I think the government believes the people that keep them in power have pure motives, and that the people who stand against them just by default have corrupt intent. But otherwise, they wouldn't care about the orange guy unless they had that corrupt intent in their heart, whatever the hell the government's even talking about. But this is what I think that they believe. But that's just my take, guys. Crazy convoluted stuff, but super important. This is a crazy important case to watch. That's just my take. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.